What's up, guys? Chris Williams here. Oh my gosh. I've been doing this group coach nation thing for a while, but I am like super excited about being on Time to Shine with Scott Ferguson. If y'all have not heard Scott Ferguson, then lucky you landed here. If you know him like you're getting to right now, freaking genius, right? Can't wait to talk. We're gonna drop some serious stuff in here. Scott Ferguson rocks. Oh my gosh, Scott, shout out to you. Thanks for having me on. I'm so freaking excited. Okay, let's go.
Time to Shine Today Podcast Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson. We're at episode 351 with somebody that has basically the same energy as I do. My good friend Chris Williams from Group Coach Nation. And he's all about realizing your worth. And you can't put a price on real, sincere transformation. And if you're a coach, consultant, even business owner, therapist, whatnot, and you're looking to scale your business and take it to that next level, then you must break out your notebooks, digital note taker, sit back, relax, and pick up the solid knowledge nugget steps that Chris has gratefully shared and so open, transparent, and honest in this interview. And like always, if you like it, please hit the like button, share it, check it out on all podcast platforms because it really helps my affiliates and sponsors. So without further ado, here's my really good friend, the Godfather of modern high-ticket masterminds, Chris Williams. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today Podcast Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I almost didn't get to do this interview because me and Chris are just talking and having a blast off the mic. But Chris is somebody, if you're a coach out there also, and you're looking to really level up your business into high-ticket items, Chris is the guy. But this is also for other people out there because I have some deep questions for my guy Chris here. Chris is very successful, somebody that I immensely respect. And you're going to pick up some serious knowledge nuggets from Chris as well. One thing that is funny about Chris is he is to the point and on point. His bio that I asked him to send me, it says Chris doesn't have a car. He's an ultra marathoner and teaches experts simple methods for building high ticket masterminds. The name of his company is Group Coach Nation. And Chris, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today Podcast Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
Clear. Yes.
Let's go with that, man. Let's unpack
I just
that.
love being outside, and I love I'm constantly washing windows here in the studio because I just want space. So going to the mountains, I want to see. And when I've always thought that since I was a kid. What's your favorite color? Clear. I just want to see. That's it.
You know, you're killing us because we build everything that we send out to social around the person's color.
Okay, so the next in line is green, like the fresh green in spring. If you got to have a freaking regular, come on. You're so traditional, Scott.
Part of the Roy G. Biv, baby. Yeah, it's awesome. So, Chris, let's dig a little deep. I know that you run a fantastic company helping coaches really level up to their ultimate potential. But how do we get started, man? What's the roots?
Well, first up, and I mean this sincerely, this is not just BS. All you fans of Scott Ferguson, you're here for a reason. You're here to learn, and you're here because you're committed to leveling up. Listening to a show like this, because I've listened to these episodes too, this is not an easy just go for a run show. This is like your brain's working.
Thank you,
so
man.
I would say the number one thing is you got to be committed to doing what it takes to level up. And
I love it.
Everybody you hear on Scott's show and Scott himself, these people are committed to freaking leveling up. So congrats for being here now, hanging out with us. That's number one.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
It's true. It really is. I would say number two, after personal commitment, gut check of just, I'm for real, I'm going to learn, and I'm actually going to do what I learn. The next thing after that is you really have to understand your value and your worth. And I don't just mean as a person, because we are valuable. We just don't truly value ourselves. Usually we really don't. I want to know, do you know the value of what you know, your skill set? You as a coach, an expert, a consultant, whatever you are right now, I promise you can change people's lives and you're doing it. You're probably just not valuing that life change the way your clients are.
Wow.
And you got to get your brain around that.
Wow. Let's unpack that a little bit. Value your life change more than your clients are. I'm sorry, I'm going to misparaphase that, but let's unpack that, brother.
Yeah. So Scott, I know like in your consulting work, you literally change people's lives. Like
Absolutely.
they leave walking away from you on a trajectory that's going to send them in an awesome place versus a tragic place. Like
Yes.
that's real.
Right.
That is like so valuable. You can't put a price on that. And I don't mean just like a trite thing to say. It's invaluable. No, like for real.
Right.
When the relationships get fixed and the heartburn and the strokes and the heart attacks and all the stuff that we do to ourselves
Mm,
because of our stressful lives get fixed because we get things right, you can't put a price on that. And for
mm.
most of us, if we're in business consulting, health and wellness, relationship coaching, whatever we do, whatever our expertise is in, somebody's sitting there like right now where you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, struggling with the bills. They're struggling with the relationships. They're struggling with the life balance, and they will do anything. They're literally waking up sweating at 2 a.m. like you
Yeah.
used to, and they want help now.
Yes,
And
sir.
they'll pay and do anything you say, and you got to own that and know that, not so you can just pull more money out of them, but
Mm.
so you can price it appropriately because you're valuable. You did the work.
Thank you.
Help them
Yes.
step up.
A lot of the coaches, they don't value themselves, that I know of. I mentor a few coaches, that are coming up and they're just afraid to like pull that trigger. I'm
Mhm.
telling my clients it's $25,000. And that's it. You get a year of coaching, time shine today with me for $25,000. And it took a long time for me to really build that confidence up. And thank goodness for the coaches that I had that
Yeah.
pulled me up and said, listen, you're a confident guy, but when it comes to knowing your worth and what you had said, you can't put a price on the transformation that I'm able to help
Mhm.
people with, and the other coaches out there. I love that you brought it up, and don't be afraid of valuing yourself so highly. That's awesome.
I want to add one thing to what you just said, Scott, because
Yeah.
the reason that most of us do what you did early on with not valuing that thing enough is because, Scott, you're a truly, genuinely wonderful human.
Thank you.
Like for real. And all of you listening, trying to figure this out, you probably are too. Some of you, if you're a jerk, you know it. Call it what it is.
Mhm.
Change your ways.
Sure.
But if most of us get into coaching and consulting because we actually like helping people,
Mm,
and that personality trait doesn't go with being a jerk or a high pressure salesperson really well.
right.
Unfortunately, the people who charge the most and sell the most are the ones who really shouldn't be helping people. We've all been hurt by those people.
Yes.
So the most genuine and best of us out there, we have a hard time stepping into that high price point because it makes us feel bad about
Yeah.
but it's
100%, man.
yeah, own your spot. You got this.
Yes. Yeah. And is people will come up and they'll be like, so what do you do? And I'm a lifestyle optimization artist. And I say that to get them to kind of do that, right? To
What?
smile and be like, what? I'm like, dude, it's a fancy word for a life coach. Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, life coach. I'm like, basically my whole gig, it depends on the atmosphere. If I was talking to you, it'd be like, my whole gig is helping you realize your ultimate human potential. That's what I
Mhm.
do, and it doesn't matter what you're going through. I'll get you there. And that's what I say, because I know that I can, and I give a shit about really getting you there, because my story is pretty tattered, and the people that were there for me, the more you mentor or coach, the more immortal you become, right? The more people you touch. That's fantastic. So let's get into how you kind of started Group Coach Nation, please, and go from there, because I want to really get this in front of all my fellow coaches out there so they can utilize your awesome platform.
Yeah, so I just simply followed a few logical steps. And I wish I had started this a long time ago. I used to think, oh, I have this brilliant idea. I'm going to go change the world. I'm going to put a website together, buy a bunch of domains. I mean, we all have a bazillion domains on
Right.
GoDaddy, right?
Right.
My team's always like, do you
Yes,
want us
there's
to
a
renew
story
these
behind
domains? I'm
that
like,
too, but yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, renew the domains. I mean, I'm going to use that someday. Yeah.
Right.
So I got away. Finally, I listened to a coach. I was actually in in a mastermind, the first one I ever joined. I paid $30,000 to be in. I was sitting in Boise, Idaho at that point in that
Mm.
mastermind, 50 people in there. Really hard to get in that one, qualified to get into it. And I like in 45 minutes in there, it wasn't the speakers in that mastermind, it was actually the group members. They were like, dude, you know stuff, and what you know is going to change people's lives. You need three things. You need a scalable way to get leads for that thing. You need a scalable way to sell. and you need a scalable way to deliver what you know. Those things work brilliantly with masterminds. You can scale the lead gen because you don't need 1,000 people. You just need 10, 15, 20 people in your mastermind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
A scalable way to sell is really easy. You don't need to do one-on-one sales calls. You just need to tell people what you do and invite them to take action. And it's a understandable process.
Sure.
And delivering in a group setting is, believe it or not, 5 times more effective than doing one-on-one coaching. When you move people into a group, a therapeutic group,
Yeah.
it could be a 12-step program, it could be a residential program, it could be a coaching program. When you put people in a group, we're, as humans, we have been here a long time on this planet, and we've been doing it as a group. And the people who get out by themselves either barely succeed or die.
Right.
So scalable
Tribe,
works.
baby. Right.
Tribe,
Yeah.
you got to have it. So
Yeah.
that's, once I learned that, like I was like, oh my gosh, this means so much to me. And I'd actually tried to launch e-courses and all this other stuff for like 5 years before that. And I was
love
just,
that you came to this realization, bro. That's amazing. That it just hit me about you're trying all these things, different URLs, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, man, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? It's like I'm going to get a tribe together of people that are looking to kind of hit the same, everyone has their different peaks, but they want to go upward and pull each other up on the way.
yeah.
That's amazing. So Chris, let me ask you something. What do you think? You might have answered a little bit of this, but what do you think is a coach's biggest blind spot when it comes to scaling?
I would say it's typically lead gen. And here's what a coach told me.
Thank you. Yes. Go ahead.
It's going to be lead gen or sales, right? Okay. So people get stuck with selling an hour of their time for consulting. Okay. That's a big pitfall, but just simply moving to a group model eliminates that. Okay. That's pretty easy to get people to understand. Oh, but I can't teach my thing in a group. Yes, you can. I promise you, you can. Okay. Oh, but every client's so special. No, I promise you, you can. All right. Here's where it falls apart. If you don't have a way to predictably generate on-profile leads, you don't have a business. You're just getting lucky. I'm going to say it again. If you don't have a way right now, today in your business, to predictably generate on-profile leads tomorrow, next month, and next quarter, if you don't have that right now, dear listener, then you don't have a business. You're just getting lucky.
Yeah, man.
Your luck might be going your way today, but you keep pulling that slot machine, it's going to fall apart eventually.
Right.
Own the freaking process. Don't trust the casino.
Yes.
Own the table.
I love it, man. And it's funny. People are like, Fergie, how do you get, they ask me, Fergie, how do you get always busy? And I'm like, one, I like to give until it hurts so good. And two, I expand comfort zone, I think, laterally. And what I mean by that is the way I really grew my business is I tried to take every financial advisor I knew to lunch or to a coffee. And they're working with people with money. A lot of those people have the money blocks, and they just referred people to me. I'm like, listen, I have a free hour of power, dude. Let me sit down with them and do it. And it's just laterally thinking. And like you said, and that's predictable for me. I know I can talk to a financial advisor today, take them to lunch, tell them what I do, and see who I can help them with, but then tell them what I do and maybe have an introduction to a client. And they're working with their money, and they're going to know who has the money to be able to afford me, in a sense, right? So like you just said, it's predictable. Love that, man. So is there, like, maybe if a coach comes up to you and is interested in Group Coach Nation, is there any good question that you wish they would ask you but never do?
I think the first question they should ask me, like if I'm speaking somewhere and people like, you know how it is, you speak somewhere and then like the hallway behind the stage is where it happens, right? So I honestly think the first thing people should ask me is like, what's my offer? What's my information? What's this thing worth? It's like going to Antique Roadshow. I found this in my grandma's attic. but
true, bro.
For anybody who's in this business, like I am, like you are, you've heard a lot of things. If somebody can just tell me what they know how to do and who they've helped and what they've been doing lately, I can tell them in like 2 minutes, here's what that offer is worth. I've seen a ton of offers. And And once you get up your mind around, oh my gosh, you mean this is worth, let's just pick a number, $35,000 per seat in a 10-person mastermind. It's $350,000 and it's going to last for 12 weeks. That's $350K a quarter. That's over $1 million a year. And I don't have to do any ads or anything to fill those rooms up. Once you just get that in your head, then you can just be like, okay, tell me where to start, because it's right there in front of you.
Right. Love it. I love it. That's it. I just love, it all goes back to predictability with you, because you have some kind of formula or secret sauce, if you will, to really know how to predict. You can tell them, they can, coach, if you talk to Chris, you tell him about your business, he'll probably predict about right around within a couple $1,000s of what you're probably making. And that's what I love about my friend Chris here. And Chris, let me ask something. Have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Yes, once or twice.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm 50 years old, so I can't believe that movie is going to be 40 years old in a couple.
Especially since they, like, all those super awesome people just figured out how to, like, blast lasers and make energy.
Right.
Which is so Back to the Future. So actually it just came up recently. I was like, I gotta watch that again.
Yeah, I got to get that flux capacitor. You know, it's funny. I went online to AutoZone. If you go to AutoZone and look up flux capacitor, it'll say out of stock.
That's freaking awesome.
Be there, dude. So, anyways, back to my question, man. I knew this was going to be awesome.
Now we're all Googling. Yeah, we just lost half the audience.
Yeah, we lost everybody.
At AutoZone.
So let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly, Chris. Why don't you go back to the Double Deuce, the 22-year-old Chris? What kind of knowledge nuggets? Don't change anything, because you've lived a pretty awesome life. But what kind of knowledge nuggets might you drop on him? Maybe help him shorten his learning curve, blast through, or maybe blast through a little bit quicker.
That is such an easy one for me to answer. And this makes my heart hurt, Scott. Like, it really, I feel this in my chest. I wish I had not been so bullheaded and confident that I knew everything. And when I didn't know, too ashamed to ask. I wish, I guess in a nutshell, I wish I had gone to people who've already been successful where I want to succeed and figured out a way to pay them, or figured out a way to get it for free, or whatever I got to do, but freaking get the information and do the work.
Dude, I love that. Like, be humble. Don't be a douchebag, right? Be brave and get your asking gear, right? Ask for that help, man. That's what somehow, some way, I was that person. I got mentors so early in life because I'd be a sponge. I'd be like, what? To the point where they're like, dude, kind of get away from me a little bit. But Chris, how do you want your dash remembered then? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life date and death date. How do you want your dash remembered?
I want to be a good dad and a good guy for Jill, my wife, and a good friend and community member. That's really all I want. I don't work a lot compared to most people, because running masterminds honestly doesn't take that much time.
Sure, man.
And I don't want to do the hustle. I really love having a peaceful lifestyle where I can invest in me and invest in the people that I love in our community. And that's really all I want. I mean, I could say, I want to be known as the Godfather of the modern mastermind build, or what. Honestly, dude, I don't think the people long term are going to care. They're going to care this year because it makes them money, but they're not going to care in 20 years.
Right. So what do you think people misunderstand the most about you?
I think they think that I hustle a lot more than I do, but honestly, the process I've built around how to build masterminds, we just have a really good process and some really great team members, and it just runs. I'm such a anti-hustle person. And like, I just don't do the stuff that everybody thinks you have to do, posting on social all the time, showing up for every freaking show. Like, dude, you and I are doing this because you're freaking awesome. Alex Sanfilippo. Shout out to Alex Sanfilippo. He connected us. Like, you don't have to do the hustle to be successful or peaceful.
Thank you. Yes. You just have to care and give and know, like Zig said, you'll get whatever you want by helping people get what they want. And that's what you do with your masterminds. Who cares if it doesn't take all that much of your time? That's absolutely beautiful. So give me something quickly. I know you're a triathlete and whatnot, but give me something, an investment you made in yourself, $100 or less, that's leveled you up in the last year.
Oh, wow. $100 or less that's leveled me up. I would say it's going on walks And this is going to sound so cheesy, dude.
No,
Okay,
man.
here we go. Y'all gonna think this is hilarious. It's going on walks and walking on the curb. You know when you were like a kid and you'd like walk on the curb and try to balance between the grass and the street and like not fall off? Okay. I have a therapist. Her name's Tanya. Tanya's freaking awesome. She's like, dude, you need to chill. It's the middle of the pandemic, right? She's like, you need to chill, unwind. What's something simple you can do in 5, 15 minutes, whatever, and just go and do it. I started, I'm sure my neighbors think I'm a total nut job. I started walking on curbs because it focuses my attention. It's funny and it gets me outside.
Bro.
And I fall off half the time in water puddles. And so I started doing that. And that has meant so much to me because it takes me completely out of work or stress mode with kids or whatever. It gets me outside and it makes me smile. And if you just step away from stress and smile and be outside, that's the key.
Yeah. And
that just happens to be how I do it.
You can't balance on a curb without being 100% present.
And walking my dog, I can be on the phone, but that's not the same. I gotta, Yeah,
100%. I love it. And so, I'm blessed to live here where I can walk barefoot most of the time. And I love that, I feel that, they say that lightning strikes the earth 10,000 times a second, and I want somewhere in the world, I just want that energy to come up and be present. I love that investment in yourself. So what is Chris's definition of a life well lived?
It's relationships. I want to be a kind person and I want to love people well.
Love it, man. You do. You're so fun to talk to and whatnot. And Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. We are back. And Chris, we're going to hook up one day. I know, meet up for a coffee or a brain grenade or something. And you were going to probably ask each other a few of these questions, and take a little bit of time. And I know you're pressed for time today, but you got 5 seconds to answer them. They can all be answered in 5 seconds. You ready to level up?
I'm ready.
Yeah, right, my man. Chris, what is the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Get prospects. If you don't have a way to predictably generate on-profile leads, you don't have a business. You're just getting lucky.
Love it. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
It's taking time off. The more time off I have, the more successful I get. It's weird.
It's awesome, though. If you see me walking down the street or maybe into one of your events, and you're like, Fergie's in his doldrums. Other than a hug, what book might you hand me?
I would hand you Tony Hsieh's book, Delivering Happiness, the Zappos book.
I've heard of it.
We all have our feelings about the guy, but freaking awesome book. He has a great mindset about business and life.
Donnie, take a note on that. Okay, perfect. What's your most commonly used emoji when you text?
It's the old school smiley face that's just the colon and the parentheses, because I think it's fun to send because nobody
I love it. I love it. Nicknames growing up?
Oh, Doaf. My sister calls me Doaf. I have no idea why. She still calls me that.
Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
Oh, totally checkers.
Beautiful. Me too. It's simple and get it done.
I can't figure the other ones out, dude.
Go-to ice cream flavor. And your
vanilla. Vanilla with eggnog poured over the top.
Well, that sounds really
good.
If
I get eggnog in July, I would.
That sounds good. There's a sandwich called the Doaf. Build that for me.
The Dope?
The Doaf. That's your nickname, right?
Oh, my name. The Dope. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. That's going to totally be 2 pieces of white bread with the crust cut off. And it's going to have peanut butter and honey and banana.
That actually sounds really good, man. Absolutely.
I want one now, dude. I'm going to do that.
I know. I think I'm going to also. Favorite charity and organization you like to give your time or money to?
Memphis Child Advocacy Center. They help kids who are coming from abused families, and they help prevent child abuse in our city here in Memphis, Tennessee. And that's where we spend our time and money.
That's amazing. Thank you. Last question. You can elaborate on this one a little bit, but the best decade in music, 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
This is not my decade growing up, but it's totally late 70s, early 80s. I am a Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, Queen kind of guy.
Greatest stories in their songs. I'm an 80, I'm 50, I graduated 90, so I grew up in the 80s, which is the most revolutionary decade with rap and glam and big hair, don't care. But the 70s, if I'm editing a podcast, or building show notes or something like that, I want to hear stories in the background. That's me, like Jim Croce. Throw a little Croce out there, throw Zeppelin out there, throw the Eagles out there. It's all 70s. Plus, it kind of throws me back to my mom passed, throws me back to the stuff she'd be playing. Even if Barry Manilow comes on, I'm like, all right, it's a story about Copacabana. It sounds great, right? But no, that's awesome. So, Chris, how can we find you, my friend?
Chris Williams lives at groupcoachnation.com. Okay. You can Google me, Chris Williams, groupcoachnation.com. You'll find us. And Scott, I know you got a special link we built for you because we have a training that we built just for Scott. So if you're like trying to figure this mastermind thing out, there's no sales pitch in it, no nothing. Scott asks you just to be straight up. And we just show you like, here's the nuts and bolts of what you should be thinking through. So that we'll drop that link for Scott as well.
Really, really appreciate that, Chris. And I know you got to go, but leave us with one last knowledge nugget we can take with us, internalize, and take action on.
All right, here it is. If what you're hearing today, you're like, that's a thing I got to figure out, then stop where you are and don't listen to the next episode and don't go watch YouTube. Watch the training or take notes or commit to an action. Like, what are you going to freaking do about what you learn? For most of us that are bright and love learning and helping people like we all do, it's hard for us to stop learning and actually do the thing that's going to make the needle move. So stop right now if this is your thing and start taking action. Now, watch the video we send you. It's just straight up. I promise there's no like Scott has to put something really good.
Yeah. None of your videos really, bro.
Yeah, I'm not that guy.
Wow.
If this is not for you though, then go to the next episode or look through the list and find one that resonates with you, learn, and then stop and do the work. I'm saying like for the next 90 days, stop.
Yes.
Go do it.
Love it. And squad, I went a little long with my guy, Chris here, but it got so fun. And, he reminds us that if you be committed to what you want to do to level up your life, learn and do what you learn to take action. I want you to understand your value and your worth. So many coaches or even business owners out there undervalue their worth. Do you know the value of what you know? And if you do, don't be afraid to charge for it because you cannot put a price on transformation. He says, masterminds, they can be scalable with a way to get leads and the lead gen. He's like, if your lead generation's not working, then it's not predictable. You're just getting lucky. So you got the lead gen, you got the sell and to deliver. Those are the three things. And he's going to break that down. I'm going to make sure you go into the show notes right here and check out the link. There's no selling, but Chris is going to be able to set you up for success. He wants you to be humble, be brave. And like, again, what my good friend Leah Woodford would say, get your asking gear. He's going to be remembered as a great dad and a good husband to Jill. He doesn't believe in hustle too much, but he does flex his hustle muscle at home with his family. My boy Chris is planting trees right now with the knowledge he has, he's probably never going to sit in the shade of. He will be remembered as a kind person. And again, if you're hearing something or you see something and it really sparks your interest, don't do the freaking what kids do these days and scroll the next thing. Get there, stop there, immerse yourself in it. Learn as much as you can, and most of all, take action. That's what my good friend Chris does. He levels up his health. He levels up his wealth. He's humble, yet he's hungry. He's learned his varsity squad letter here at Time to Shine today, brother. I absolutely love your guts, and I can't wait to meet you in the flesh and hopefully do some collaboration as well.
Dude, this has been so amazing. All you squatters out there, like not squatters, squad people, squatters.
My dude.
Like, don't you freaking love Scott? Like, leave a review for this podcast. This is one of the good ones. There's a lot of crap out there, folks. This is truly one of the good ones.
I appreciate that, Chris. We'll talk soon, my friend.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast. Proudly brought to you by Sutter & Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you're a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.